Vaibhav, thank you for speaking to Motorindia. Wanted to understand, since we are at Busworld India Conclave 2026, what are you expecting from this kind of industry event? What are you communicating here?
Uh, as we all will agree, India's urban mobility and in general mobility is expanding. India has already become almost second largest market globally for buses, particularly electric buses. So India is looking for next level of growth into the bus industry, and therefore it's right time for entire ecosystem to look at what opportunities are available and how do we prepare ourselves, because from India's standpoint we need to look at three four elements. One, we need to make sure that we have transport available for our people, for 140 billion people. We also need to build our own capabilities so that India becomes Atmanirbhar by 2047.
Correct.
So therefore our manufacturing capacity, our supply chains, our so all those elements also need to look at. We also need to look at energy security, where electric of course will play a very critical role. But my even in my parallel discussion I said my message to this whole ecosystem is that India will need a bouquet of combination of all kind of transport. So it will be electric. Of course, electric will play a major role, like almost 50% of the fleet. But we need biofuels, we need flexi-fuel vehicles, we will need CNG, LNG, hydrogen, all sort of technologies that will available will be required, because India is also a very agri-based economy. So we have availability of biomass. So our CBG, we have availability of municipal solid waste, sewage. Can that be used to produce CBG? And more than 200 plants are available already there in India. Can that become a major feeder for CNG buses within the city? Or for example, can we have ethanol driven flexi fuel vehicles where buses can run on 100% ethanol?
Correct.
And India has shown that with 20% ethanol blending in last 10 years.
Correct.
We have 1700 crore liters of production every year, and only 1000 crore or 1100 crore is being used for blending. So we have a plenty of excess capacity that can immediately address, because we don't want to shift pollution, transfer pollution from one city to rural area. We want to reduce pollution.
Exactly.
We need to decarbonize. And what is decarbonization? If you are drawing some carbon from the earth, you must give it back to earth.
True.
So I think biofuels, flexi fuels, CNG, LNG, CBG, electric, it has to be combination of everything. We also need to look at how do our electric charging infrastructure comes into place. For example, for buses, building a charging infrastructure will require a lot of real estate, will require a lot of cost analysis, because today commercial charging is very costly, and we need to make our mobility viable. Because buses has always been conventionally and will always be the cheapest form of transport for an end user. It has to be cheapest form of transport. So how do we reduce the cost of production, cost of charging? All those elements need to be looked at. So I'm sure Busworld, exhibitions and conclaves like Busworld will give that global perspective to Indian players. That's what I'm looking for.
You spoke about a lot of things, ethanol, other, flex fuel and hydrogen and electric. What is currently driving demand in the market? Because the passenger doesn't care whether he's sitting in an electric vehicle or a diesel vehicle. What is the current trends or demand drivers that you want to address?
So, as I said, from the consumer perspective, it is the reliability, safety, and low polluting vehicles. That's what he's looking at. And from the operator's perspective, it is the economic viability of the fleet. Of course, at this point of time, electric buses are the kind of a easily available solution, probably low hanging fruit. But we also need to look at how much amount of incentives government has given this, and this will not remain for long term. So industry need to evolve on that part also. We need to maintain that advantage, not with government support but independently.
But the operators have also been saying that within infra or incentive, if have to be chosen, they will choose infra and not incentive.
Correct. So I think that needs to be done. But for example, building charging infra requires a lot of real estate. So for example, government gives that land on at low cost is an incentive. It's a kind of incentive. So I think all those elements needs to be put together. The whole ecosystem has to function together, and therefore combination is required.
So there is no one size fit all. But
there should not be. There cannot be.
And cannot.
India is such a large country. Our requirements, rural area we have a bit different requirement. Why do you put so much of infrastructure money for giving high capacity power lines, creating charging infrastructure? Create, for example, CBG based buses there. They are low polluting, but
Correct. Correct.
requirement is also low. For urban, it could be some different solution. For point to point, it could be different, depending on our needs and depending on our strength there.
Yeah.
Our larger objective has to be energy security. Our larger objective has to be decarbonization, low polluting. Our larger objective has to be Atmanirbhar.
And while everything's said and done and everything is there available, will financing be that key that can change everything overnight?
Financing will always play a key, but I think financing has evolved in India. With amount of market and government has given a policy, incentives and support. I think market has evolved and it will continue. It's a dynamic process. It will continue to evolve. And of course, our ecosystem will have to address those issues also. But I am very confident that will evolve.
Sure.